Yeah. Seriously, like there's a certain type of person that just loves this stuff for some reason.
Yeah, I haven't met him yet.
Well, I know. We're never going to meet it walking around.
Maybe.
Can you imagine knowing someone like fairly well in life and then going, you know what? I want to watch 100 hours of them podcasting.
It wouldn't be at all unreasonable if we had little wireless mics to set the camera up first and record the full setup and have that all recorded, audio and video, and then just like edit that, tack it on the end every time.
I can do that.
I think that should be a Patreon tier thing. I really do.
You want to hear
behind the scenes?
You want to hear the insane ramblings beforehand?
I mean, 80% of the time, our insane ramblings beforehand are more interesting, more coherent than most of our podcasts.
They're no different than what we would be saying.
Yeah, at least the same shit.
Like we've already been talking for. I used to worry about starting out our conversation before the podcast. It's like I want to keep it fresh. Now it's like it's all going to be this anyway.
Pretty well.
Yeah. It's going to be the same. I will say I watched a movie recently I wanted to talk about.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Have you heard of The Father?
No.
No.
Won a ton of awards. I was kind of
feel
not
like I should know
interested,
that.
But, Anthony Hopkins won the award for Best Actor.
Oh,
it was
okay.
a little bit politicized because someone else didn't win and some people were upset about it.
Right, yeah.
If you watch this movie, though, you will understand that this was some of the finest acting ever done.
I would love to hang out with Anthony Hopkins. He seems awesome.
Yeah, and as good as he is, this might have been his best role ever.
Silence of the Lamb guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, and Dracula and all kinds of other stuff,
I
obviously.
haven't seen Dracula either.
The old 90s one? Really? Bram
He
Stoker?
was
That's right,
JW.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you watch this movie, you'll see instantly why he won that. And
Okay.
I don't think anybody will do a better job acting any role for quite a while than that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I loved the Joker. I might have liked this movie even more. It's obviously a different thing.
Okay. I was going to say, is this the same tone as the Joker?
Yes and no. There's a lot of distorted reality going on.
I
right?
assume more pedophilia.
No. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
When I heard the name, The Father, I thought it was going to be like
some sort of diocese fiasco.
Yeah, like he was a priest or something,
Yeah.
and so I had no interest. But then, it turns out it's about a guy with Alzheimer's.
Oh,
right.
Shit.
And obviously, he's of the right age to act that out.
This is just like that 7-hour musical ensemble.
Which I never got back to, by
Yeah.
the way. I did finish that.
Oh, God.
I finished that whole thing, and it was very unsettling. The whole and I couldn't listen to it
unsettling.
afterwards.
I imagine.
Like now, bits of the beginning of that where it's music, because it descends into just
But now
complete
you
noise.
hear, when you listen to the first parts again, you still hearing the end part.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if like whenever I think of it, and I remember some of those haunting like musical patterns that would happen, and I'm just like, I can't go near that again.
Because the end tracks probably included snippets from the early tracks, but a haunting waned down version, I imagine.
Well, the ending, there was in the last stage there was nothingness. It was just like it almost sounded like just the sounds of waves in the distance.
Fair.
But parts 4 and 5 were like absurd, angry noise.
Ugh.
Like different frequencies and different levels of that kind of crap. Anyway, at the very end of part 6, there's 5 minutes of nothing, like no noise of any kind, and then a funeral starts playing. You can hear like a choir singing, and it's just like deeply unnerving because you could tell that this is, and there's nothing else like that in the entire 6.5 hours. Like everything else that's music is the same songs repeating, right? So you hear this brand new thing for the first time, and it's the clearest thing you hear the entire 6.5 hours is the death.
Is that that's the very end though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And though that's theatrics, right? You wouldn't hear that if you were that guy. But like the theatrics work in that case. Because it was
of course. Goodness.
After 6.5 hours of that, and then you hear this, you're like, okay.
Well, you need it for conclusion.
This is nightmare material, though. Right? Because I've been spooked on Alzheimer's ever since.
I would
And
suspect.
this movie didn't help with that.
I wouldn't think it would.
What? Oh my God! Why would you do this? Why would you put yourself through that?
Well, I'll tell you, The Father was hard to watch in places.
Yeah, no shit.
The last scene was
It's like most Academy Award-winning movies.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like, ugh, I don't really want to watch this.
the last scene was like heart wrenching, where it's like it gets into an absurdity, but it's warranted. Like it gets to the point where like the character has no idea who they are anymore, and they're realizing that for the first time. But he goes through all these like stages of grief, and like he's crying for his mommy and all these different, and it just like with no context, it would be absolutely absurd. But when you've gotten that far in and you've watched the whole movie, it's just like it's truly nightmarish. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want to go that way. I really don't want to go that way.
Yeah, me neither.
Like I don't want to spoil it because you should probably watch it at some point.
I feel
don't know
like
if
I'm
you
good.
Will.
Feel like I'm good,
I think
man.
I have to.
Feel
But
like,
it-
I
it-
feel
just
like
want
I'm
to see
good.
Anthony Hopkins cruising around the screen.
He killed it, man. That guy killed the role.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Wow.
doubt it.
Like it was absolutely like perplexing that he could. Like I always think when you're gonna. Do you remember the movie I Am Sam?
Yes.
Right. Terrible.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I always think could happen in these situations.
Yes.
Right. Like you're on a thin line.
Fine razor thin line.
Yeah. Of making it a joke.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Versus-
Unintentionally, but you mock it
Right.
unintentionally, kind of thing.
Versus like making it serious.
Well, if you
Like,
make it too obvious, it's just goofy, and you don't draw your audience into the empathy zone.
especially
You make
when
it subtle and interesting, and all of a sudden they're holding on to that actor's every breath and action.
yeah, and especially because this movie was done, the pace and like the tone of it, everything in it was like you're experiencing it from his lens for the most part. So like everything is distorted. The same day repeats, but things are different. And so like it's really hard to tell what's actually happening and what's not happening. And
Oh boy.
so there's a lot of like, I'm going to need to watch this again, that kind of thing.
Don't watch it again, please.
I mean, I might not, but like if you watched it a second or third time, you'd probably be like, "Oh, this is okay." You know what I mean? Like because you're getting bits of the end at the beginning and bits of the
Yeah.
beginning at the end.
Yeah.
Because it's all the same for him, right? Like he barely knows what's happening anymore. So, but like to do something like that and do it well is very hard because like if you did it poorly, everyone would come after you. Right,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when you do a movie like that, you're kind of this better work, like because if not, we're going down in flames.
Yeah, swinging a miss on that is really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even know how you'd begin writing something like that.
I mean, my guess is somebody had someone in their family with dementia.
Sure.
Someone who's a really good writer.
Yeah, really good
Had
writer.
a personal experience.
Do you write the end first and then work back from there?
Potentially, yeah.
Like, yeah, I
Who
know how
knows?
this thing ends. How do I get there? And like, in what order?
I mean, it's
Well, I
also
guess-
trying to convey a feeling.
Yeah.
You would have to write a premise and then an outline, right? You need a premise and then a skeleton to work from.
You need a thesis and a topic sentence.
That's right. Hypothesis: Alzheimer's is a
Bad?
bad experience.
Yeah.
Bad
Well-
time?
Like the thing that really gets me with this movie is every now and then I think we've done enough. Like we're not going to have any more great movies because I swear to God, like I don't see too many movies anymore where I'm like, I'm going to remember this one.
That's because there's 9 million of them, and they all
Yeah.
have $200 million budgets.
Oh, I know.
So like, there's still gonna be incredible movies going into the future.
But like,
I also think that like our kind of approach to good movies now is going to be more long form. Like I think they're going to be just better long form TV shows.
yeah,
Because like do a good story in 2 hours, feel connectivity to a whole cast of characters. Like that's really hard.
Meanwhile,
Whereas if you can build them over the
we
course
have Tiger King, which is like
Yeah,
10
season
episodes
2 coming out.
Oh no.
of season 2, Carol Baskin.
well, some things do make better series. I do think that there's going to be a place for movies still, though.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
I
goodness,
just,
yeah.
I'm talking about that depth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to get depth in something, that's one of the reasons I've liked like British TV shows tend to go that route of just like, oh no, we're gonna do one season. Like, did you ever watch I think it's called Bodyguard?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
The dude from Game of Thrones is in it.
Yeah.
Where he's 8 episodes, I think. Great story.
I
Great
like
story.
the idea of taking as many episodes as you need
Yeah.
and no more.
Yeah, just tell
Yeah,
the story.
just
So here's a great show I watched recently. I don't think I brought it up somehow, but Sarah and I watched all of Midnight Mass. It's a Netflix show. It was made
the
by
CGI one, right?
There was a little bit of CGI, but not crazy. So anyway, it was made by the same guy who made Haunting on Hill House and Bly Manor. But those ones I didn't care for much. This one I really liked a lot. It was so I'll give you the loose details. A priest moves into this tiny island village that they've all kind of gone away from the faith, and he starts performing miracles, and the church starts getting popular again. I can't really give a whole lot more away than that.
I want to
But
watch that.
There's definitely something much darker at hand.
What's that called again?
Midnight Mass.
I will.
It is awesome.
A series?
Yeah, it's 7 episodes,
Sweet.
and they were all about an hour to an hour and a half long, and they stuck the landing with that show.
Nice.
Because too often what I hate is like you'll build up a good premise and then it kind of goes nowhere.
Yeah.
But in that show, it's like lots of build up, and then holy shit,
Yeah.
wow, they went there. Like it gets real dark and real aggressive, and you're like, well done. I don't think there's any potential for a season 2 for this.
No, probably not.
Like,
So what he's saying is everyone died in the end.
Yeah, I
Well-
was gonna say. Pretty
No,
close.
you can't tell us.
Pretty close.
but like,
They all were possessed by the great spirits of Lucifer.
it's almost everything I wanted, and I never knew I wanted it.
It was like Christmas morning.
Well, it's that perfect thing where I'll probably watch it every Halloween now.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, well, it's really good.
Nice.
Like it's really. I didn't even know I wanted it.
Are you a fan of The Village?
I watched that movie. It wasn't
The
my
Shyamalan
favorite, but I did like the idea.
I haven't watched it in years, but I watched it a lot back in the day.
This has kind of got to feel like
Does
that.
like resonate with you?
Village?
In the cult level?
Maybe a little bit.
The problem is I can't say a whole lot more about this movie without giving it all away.
That's
but
fair.
Like
I
it
wouldn't
definitely
then.
gets into the culty stuff.
So I will
for
watch
sure.
it eventually.
Yeah, that's fair. I probably won't, but that's okay. That doesn't sound fun.
It's a good show. Lots of great like. What I like a lot in dramas is when they're not afraid to get in depth in conversations.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of like 5 to 10 minute long conversations between two
We almost
characters.
need to play that here then, because what our issue when we're playing movies here is that so often we get into a movie and then there's an action scene for
Oh
10
my
minutes.
god, it's the worst.
I mean, you know what the fuck is going on?
This-
You're trying to like tattoo, and there's just a bunch of like
Explosions
swords
and-
clashing,
and they're always
shit.
way louder than the dialogue
my
is.
God.
It's
And then-
horrendous.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Midnight Mass probably would have had a bigger like reaction, but it came out around the same time as Squid Game. So
Oh yeah, Squid Game won on that
Squid
one.
Game eclipsed everything else that was coming out then. Sarah and I just finished it recently, and I liked it, but I didn't think it was that awesome.
I just think it was different.
Like, it
but
was-
at the same time, I feel like it was a lot of people that hadn't really watched Black Mirror
Yeah,
started watching
it,
this.
It felt
Right.
like a long Black Mirror
Yeah.
episode.
That's one of those things. Like as soon as it started, I was like, okay, so Korean Black Mirror.
Yeah.
this is fine. But like, Black Mirror is better.
Yeah.
to be honest with
I
you.
agree.
because there's a million
just-
premises.
Yeah, and
There-
every episode's its own premise. It's
Yeah,
good.
There's
Just
It's
one
all
episode
contained.
of Black Mirror, or maybe even more than one, but one that I always remember is the 15 Million Merits when they're all biking
yeah.
to keep the thing powered.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That one stuck with me for years.
Yeah.
Like just his speech at the end, and then he ends up buying in anyway.
Yep.
It's like he becomes corrupted too.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
But that's how the game is built. The game is built so that once you beat the system,
Yeah.
well now
You
you have
become the
incentive to be
system.
part of the system.
Yeah, of course.
I resonate with him so much because I feel like I'm not unique in that, but like I'm sure lots of people can tell like they don't want to be a part of that, but then they end up becoming a part of it anyway.
course.
It's just built to happen, right? But man, and then the other episode when you can see each other's past conversations
yeah.
and stuff and
Yeah.
all the memories.
Yeah.
Holy shit, we don't ever need to be able to do that.
Oh, I know.
I would be obsessed with that stuff. Like I'm sure I would. I'm sure a lot of people would. Like wanting to know everything that's happened between two people and all that shit, and then you find out that your partner cheated on you at some point and you never knew, and it's like,
You're talking the video playback
yeah,
thing?
that was horrifying.
Yeah.
Deep
I
and
know.
dark, buddy. Deep and dark.
Those early episodes were particularly horrifying
Yeah.
because there's a lot of new technology we're playing with, and I think there's some black boxes out there we don't want to open. Like, that's one of them. Leave that guy in the bag.
Even though that is already happening
Oh,
on a less
I know.
exaggerated level just with normal social media.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is in certain roles, we ask that. Like police, we want body cams.
Yeah.
Like, there is a desire for that.
Accountability.
Yeah, that
good
accountability.
some places.
And not to mention, like, if you get into criminal situations, like, people's memories aren't to be trusted. Like, we don't have good recall that way. So to be able to play things back in terms of a necessity, that could serve a good function. But we're really bad for, like, that's the amazing thing about Black Mirror is they just take normal concepts that are, because this is how almost everything works. It's like there's this creation and it's innocent in its inception, and then our humanity comes into the play with its use.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like they didn't make it to be a negative, but our humanness makes it so that negative is
We
brought
do
out
that with
within it.
everything.
Yeah.
Every problem we have today.
Get ready for that in meta.
Yeah. Well,
God, I'll
I
never do that.
swear to God, I would rather die than have that kind of technology. at hand.
The recall
Yeah.
thing? No, I think I can handle it.
I can't do
Oh my
it.
God! What?
I can't do it. I can't
Why?
live
What's
that
wrong?
way.
So humans, I've been working so much lately on mindfulness and stillness of mind, and being able to go back into your memory and ruminate and reflect and project into the future and plan and figure out is so often the enemy of being content in the moment.
Yeah, that's not my curse though.
No.
Like, that's one of the reasons I can say that. Like, I have no problem with that.
Fair.
Like,
Huh.
honestly, like, like, it's one of those. I don't know if it's just a bit of a blessing, but like ruminating on the past, nah, I got none of it.
Shit. All right.
That's like,
yeah, you were saying the last week there's no tool that could get to you.
no,
You
not
don't
for that.
mind?
No, like, because I'm like, one of the things that I'm really focused on right now is like the stoist approach to most things.
Sure.
Stoicism.
Yeah,
And-
well, I like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like for me, I find almost the only thing that I find valuable in memory is to inform future decisions. So,
Precisely.
that's
I would
pretty much
be
it, because I like
interested
to enjoy what is current.
Yeah,
I don't
big
like
time.
to ruminate on the past.
Kind of a tie-in to the Alzheimer's thing is because we all have a version of this, like where, yeah, it's not going to be that crazy or that to that extent where we can't recall and we're not sure of anything anymore, but nothing we ever remember is the same as it actually happened.
No, of course.
So
It's only our recollection of the last time we remembered it.
But so like there are things that can have a more lasting memory, but I only think that, right?
Yeah.
Like how can I be sure? So
And
that's where it would be interesting to be able to measure that against the factual way it happened.
Well, the other thing that gets tricky about memory is that we remember with emotion. So when things and our emotions can get amplified depending on our distance to it and how much that has shaped our future decisions. So when you look, like, a lot of people talk about like nostalgia of like, oh, back in high school, oh, when I was in college, blah, blah, like as in this stuff, and the reality of whatever that was is far less than whatever our nostalgic brain is telling us it was. Right?
Yeah.
Like the good is never as good as what really was. We think that it is better. So one of the trappings that people get stuck in, either with past or future, is that it's going to be so much better than reality ever is. Right? Like, so it's like, oh, it was so much better than what my current is. And
Yeah.
it's like that's never the case.
Nope.
Like it's your relationship to it is always the thing that is being controlled.
I've found myself like longing for and fondly remembering moments I know I didn't love that much, and
Yeah.
I'm always like, boy, I took that for granted, and then did I though?
Yeah.
Or am I just thinking
Yeah.
I did?
That's one of the reasons that I think that playback thing would be a tool for some people that do get lost in nostalgia,
Sure.
because they'll be able to see it as
There's
more reality.
a component that could be helpful.
Yes.
but that doesn't mean it's all good.
No,
Though
certainly
I
not.
feel like remembering situations like that, it's beneficial to try to flip them the opposite. When you look back on an experience and go, man, I actually, looking back, I'm glad I went and did that night with those people. I enjoyed, that one cool conversation with that one guy. I had a headache the whole time, and that super sucked, and I wasn't really feeling social, but I still hung out with this person. That was pretty great. You can take that moment and apply it to today, going, oh, you know what? Even though there was some discomfort and my energy levels weren't necessarily perfect for the
It's
occasion,
going to look great in memory.
I still had good interactions. I still had a positive memory.
Yes.
I still went home at the end of the night happy that I went and had that experience.
It's been one of my go-to catchphrases at work whenever something ridiculous happens. I'll just giggle about it. People will be like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? And I'm like, it's going to make a hell of a memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because, we're already through this.
Yeah, it's
We're
already
here,
happened.
so we're already done.
That's right. That's
we're
right.
going to be out of here in an hour,
Yep.
and all we're going to have is the memory of this ridiculous thing happening.
Oh, is it going to be crazy for an hour and we're going to be fine?
Yeah,
Yep.
once you start realizing just how fast things happen and are done with,
Yeah.
it's you can use it as a power where it's like, oh, this is going to be a funny story one day, so I'm not going to get that upset about it now. The problem is when you do that to everything that you do, right? And that's where I've said before, that's where I am with almost every experience. Like we're doing this podcast right now, to some degree it's already behind me. I'm not here so much as I am, check this off the list of things I'm doing today. That sounds like I don't like doing it, but that's not the case.
No,
That
that's action.
viewpoint is somehow stoic and anti-stoic at the
Yeah,
same time.
I know, it's deeply
crazy how it's
conflicted.
both.
Yeah, it is.
And it's
100%.
not that I want it either. It's just something that I've done so many times that now I can't stop doing it.
It is both the pinnacle and the antithesis of stoicism.
Yeah, legit.
Well, it's sort of like you're being present, but you're not.
Yeah. Well, you're giving it the appropriate weight and you're still committing to the action, but you are not letting it overwhelm your temporal function.
Because this is it. Here's a quick transition, but it will make sense. Is a guy commented on a video I posted last week of my armpit tattooing. He's like, he's using cream. That's why he's so still. I've never numbed anything. Here's why I'm so still. This experience was already over for me. I'm already thinking, I'll do this for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, and then I'll be at home. Right? That's my approach to every tattoo. That's been my approach to every tattoo for many years.
Can we bitch with numbing cream for a minute?
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know.
I've
'cause-
had a series of shit numbing experiences. Like in the past 3 months, probably, I've probably had 20 people come to numbing cream on. And every numbed person is the same. It's exactly the frickin' same. You get in, there's a little more prep, you clean that crap off, you unwrap the plastic. Some brands are easier to get off than others, but either way, extra work for me. Congratulations, you put numbing cream on before you left the house.
Yeah.
That's good and bad. So now we're tattooing. We get an hour into it, 45 minutes into it. For the first 45 minutes, like a normal person. Hey, is that bad? No, it's fine. Some places, not other places. Great. An hour in, now they're a piece of shit client.
Yeah.
Because they're squirming
said
around,
it
everything
before.
sucks, they're
I
moaning.
have no experience with numbing cream, but what I would imagine will happen is because you're not acclimatizing with the scale of the pain.
Yeah.
Because things get worse over time, right? Or better. It depends on your approach to it. But you're not getting in the mood of pain. So then when that numbing wears off, you're fucked because you have nothing
put your
built up.
nerves to sleep.
Yep.
You stabbed your nerves with lidocaine and you put them to sleep. And now they're all waking up. And what happens when they wake up? They're fucking grumpy, like every fucking other person.
Because your body's more sore
Yeah.
at that point, right?
And now they're all mad because they've all been irritated
Now-
this whole time.
So I never really wanted to talk about this because I never want to be that guy that's like, oh, well, don't be such a fucking pussy. Just sit down and take the pain. Stop bitching. I don't want to be that guy. I kind of am that guy deep down, but I don't really. If people want to get tattooed and they don't want to feel it, fine.
It's great for a 1 hour tattoo.
Even if it lasted 8 hours, I wouldn't do it.
No, same.
So if you
Under-
want that,
if
though,
you're going for a long session, I do not recommend numbing cream whatsoever.
but if you want to do it, fine. I'm never going to do it. I have zero interest. I don't even want to be a test dummy for it. I want nothing to do with it.
I've experimented with it. I've tried it out before.
Yeah.
And I know when it's good and bad.
Yeah.
Fair.
I've used everything that we've had through here, even like injected lidocaine, which like none of it's great.
But as someone who's experimented with most of it, you're probably the same as me, where if I'm going to go in for a 5-hour tattoo in a hard spot, I'm going in sober and clear and drinking a bunch of coffee.
Yeah, and I'm going to do it as early in the day as I can.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And,
early
like,
for sure.
But the thing for me is like there's no perfect solution to it.
No.
And the aftermath of like aggressive lidocaine use is substantial. Like if you think that like it's gonna ache like you've never felt. If you numb yourself for like 6 to 8 hours, guess what? You're not sleeping for the next day or two.
No, I don't
It's
think
gonna
you
hurt.
can numb yourself for 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah, you can.
I've never seen it work.
Yeah, for sure you can.
I'm sure
not in
can
terms
do
of
it.
one go.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you can do the reapply.
You know how I know
That's
you
how
can
most
do
of
it
them
is these people sit down at conventions and they'll get their whole torso done.
Yeah.
I'm like, that person didn't do that on their own agency. There's no way.
But my hypothesis
assistants.
here, my viewpoint is that it's easier to do it without even having any numbing cream whatsoever.
But again, you're assuming that at that point where they start to feel it, you don't stop and reapply. And that's what most of them are doing.
Buh.
I know, and it makes the skin trash, unfortunately. So you're doing a heavy effort tattoo,
Yeah.
more so than it needed to be, and then it's going to potentially heal out shit because you fucked with the skin before you're going to
Even though
tattoo it.
this whole like makes the skin trash thing, I don't agree.
Yes, of course it does.
I've tattooed lots of people who use
Yeah.
numbing cream.
I've
I know.
had people
No,
tell
it
me
just-
even
what I'm
back
saying
team
is-
will fuck things up.
Yeah, of course.
But-
So like making the skin more red and increasing the amount of inflammation. That's what I mean by fuck the skin up.
I
Because
don't
that's what
see
it does. No, it does it for sure. If you were to tattoo the exact same person with and without in that exact same spot, you'll see it. But I mean, you'll never have that.
I
I
always
do
thought-
a
I
lot of
always thought that
tattooing
was,
and I don't see it.
No, I
Numbing
always
cream
thought
doesn't-
that was
doesn't fuck with me at
something-
all. Like when I'm tattooing somebody with numbing cream. Like I did it yesterday. I do it all the time.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I always
I'm
thought that
saying
was something that old school guys just said because they didn't want
Yeah,
people to be pussies.
same.
So yes and no, it will increase the redness. So
Because my
'cause, like,
issue is the client squirming around after an hour. That's
so
where that gets me.
What is lidocaine? Cocaine. It's a stimulant. So you are stimulating the area. So redness will go up and inflammation will go up. That is just reality. And you may not see it within that tattoo because you're used to what is happening there.
Yeah.
But if you were to take that and remove it from the situation and re-tattoo that whole thing, you may notice a difference.
Right.
You may not, but like in terms of the stimulant acting on it, just the same reason that like some of this stuff has like epinephrine in it.
Yep.
As a vasoconstrictor or vasodilator, like all those things will affect your dermis. It just is what it is.
Yeah,
That's
of
one of the
course.
reasons that like, we use witch hazel to do the opposite, right? So, and like, you're an efficient tattooer. So you may not notice it as much as someone else.
Yeah,
but
fair.
if you do like if you were to change your approach and do it like the Vega way, where it's like 10.5 hours of tickling the skin a
on
little
the
bit,
same spot.
guess what? Red.
I could see it being a real problem if you were layering colors.
Yeah.
Like if you were doing like a really badass neotrad tattoo and it's got all kinds of color blends and shit.
But you're really good at getting in and getting out.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
think like that would be the like it may not affect you as it might some
Fair,
other tattooers,
fair.
depending on their approach or whatever.
Yeah.
But like in terms of the like actual physicality of what's happening, it could just be an excuse. You know what I mean? One of those
That's
things.
what I always
One of those
thought it
like
was.
myths that like tattooers say. It's like, oh, use numbing cream, therefore the tattoo's fucked up. Like, yeah, it could
There
be
are
one
a lot
those.
of those, to be
Yeah.
fair. There's a lot of like, it's the same thing. It's, white ink tattoos don't work.
Yeah.
I went and when I seen Russ Fox, he had a full white face tattoo. It was done 10 years ago. It was super subtle.
Yeah.
Looked like scarification.
Yep.
But it was there and everything was intact. He's never had it touched up. It wasn't like it wasn't popping out at you from across the room, but you got up on him, you're like, oh, he has like a whole like face design white ink. Like people just say shit like white ink is impossible.
Yep.
And so when you hear stuff like that, I always just assume it's just old school tattooer nonsense.
Yeah. Well, like the white that you use, immediately when I saw it and it was like super thin, I was like, well, that can't be. But it works.
It works great. Yeah.
It's one of those
Goodness.
like, I don't know, my logic, I was just like, oh, white ink has to be thick and gloopy.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I love to use white with mag.
Yeah.
So like, I'll take my 15 mag, dip it in my nice soft white, and I can brush it right in. I can get a soft white. I can get a heavy chalky white. I can do whatever white I fucking feel like.
Yeah.
I mean,
and like
depending
for
on the
me,
skin,
it was
of course,
like,
but
my initial gut reaction is just, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, why?
the
Why-
biggest
what the fuck
reason
is telling me that?
the biggest reason I don't lightly brush more white in is because then you've got an area that appears red in the picture, and in your fresh picture, it comes out as a lower value instead of a higher value.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, I'd totally brush in more white. I think it heals in just fine.
Yep.
I wouldn't do it on top of forearms very often, but
for the
if
sun
I'm in
and all
someone's
that?
bicep, I'll brush in a bit of white on the top of the brow of a skull or on the back of a bird where the sun is kind of reflecting off some feathers. I got no problem just lightly brushing some of that super soft white in.
Yeah.
What I think
Stays
it's
fine.
a helpful thing to know is like, there's no harm in trying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so often it's like people think there's harm in trying.
Yeah.
You have every chance of something going well, and if it doesn't, what are you back on? Like,
Yeah.
what's setting you
Yeah.
back?
Well, I on that note, it has nothing to do with tattooing, but like I'm kind of going through a bit of that on like breaking my preconceived notions when I listened through that Carl Hart book.
Oh, yeah.
The drug use for grown-ups, and it was like the amount of things where it was like preconceived notions that I had going into it, and then he would give evidence that the actual evidence that exists. It was one of those like, huh, okay, so I just believed a bunch of like
Well, all of us
like
do.
nothing.
Have you ever read the Four Agreements?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's all about analyzing and looking at your belief system and individual components thereof, and saying, okay, I super duper believe that this is like this because this, and that's just how it is. But if I deconstruct each of the things that go into believing this thing, all of those are because this person told me that one time. I saw this other thing on the sidewalk one time that made me believe this thing. And if I let all of those agreements be a little more flexible, I can make new agreements that are this much closer to actual reality and the way the world actually works.
See, that part has not been so much of a problem for me. Because like none of my identity was ever really set in stone.
Right.
Like I would call myself a man without a home to some degree because I've always been almost like water on what I believe. If I can be convinced that I was wrong on something really easily because I've never had that solid foundation of beliefs instilled in me.
Right.
I think that's probably harder if you're raised religious.
Yeah.
Right. It's rigid programming. Right.
Well, yeah, you're told that there's natural
reasons,
law.
Yeah, you're given the reasons why things happen. They are explained, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like I have nothing, and no one is telling me anything.
Yeah.
So everything I'm getting is like I've had to go out of my way to learn it somehow. So usually when you're approaching information yourself, you're going to get it from more credible source, or you should assume more credible sources. I mean, they could steer you in the wrong direction too, right? But then I don't have a marriage to that because, like, what foundation was it built on? Like, it's not deep enough in me to be too hard for me to let go of. So that was the one benefit I had of not having a real good structural upbringing. Is it's been easy for me to go, oh, I was wrong about that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
like that makes sense.
Oh, I
Yes,
don't
it
have
was.
to cling tenaciously to this
Yeah,
paradigm
there's
or
no-
belief system. So fuck you. Oh no, I can totally change
There's
the new
no
evidence.
linchpin to me where it's like if I lose this, I lose everything.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those built into any kind of religious upbringing, right?
Yeah.
If I see there's no God, my whole identity falls apart. Like there's a lot of that. So I think it was as harmful as it was to me to not have anything solid. It was beneficial in an odd way too.
Yeah, in an area, right? Which is like, I mean, that's like if that's a skill that you have, that's something that I'm having to work at for literally every day. Just trying to figure out the fact that like I was in a state of mental rigidity for a very long time.
Yeah, rigid programming is what I call that.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with other people before too, the same basic thing where it's really hard to go, oh, really? I was thinking this my whole life, and it was not at all.
And that's okay.
It is okay.
Yeah.
That's like an okay thing.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, nothing bad happens. That was the weirdest thing. Is like nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
There's so many things, so many like I can point like to probably like half a dozen things, which were like experiences that happened in my life that I was expecting some sort of shift, either positive or negative, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those like, so nothing happened. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know- I
No
don't-
reaction by the universe. We're just here now.
I just expected some sort of magic, and magic
Were you
didn't show up.
disappointed that there wasn't?
Part of me, like
Yeah.
the first one, or first 2 or 3, probably.
Have you ever had an experience where something you know should be heartbreaking doesn't really do it to you
Yeah.
anymore?
Yeah.
And you're a little sad that you didn't get that?
No, I don't feel sad. I feel like, I probably
I've done this too many
I
times.
probably should feel more, but I don't give a flying fuck. Like, I'm great at goodbyes. You know, if I've gone enough places, made enough like new families and epic hardcore groups of people, and when you're traveling somewhere, like you'll spend 20 hours a day with these people, and like you form these super close bonds, and at the end, people are trying to react as if there's this big thing. Like, no, we say goodbye all the time. Like, I don't know why you're in the same lifestyle. I don't know why you're making a big deal about this. Like, I might see you again in a month or 10 years. Doesn't matter.
I think a lot of it for me is like this lie that we get fed all the time about how you're supposed to feel about certain things happening. And then when you don't feel like that, it's like, am I a real person?
Yeah.
Why don't I have those feelings?
That's like anytime somebody's going through things, I always just say like, feel whatever it is you feel, because it's just like whatever it is happening. Like you could try and think your way around it and say like, I should feel this way, I should feel that way. Doesn't matter. You're gonna feel however it is that you feel, and you're gonna like that conflict with the way that the world has shaped you to think is going to be your like it's going to make it so you don't feel that thing efficiently.
Some of it's like closer to home than what society's putting on you. It's like my grandmother died, but I barely knew her. Well, my mom, she was my mom's mom, but like we moved away from Nova Scotia when I was 12, and even when we were there, grandma was kind of reclusive and wasn't really around much. So when she died and my mom was looking for support from her kids on it, it was like, you know, we all did the requisite like niceties, but no one has any memories of grandma and no one actually cares that she's gone. And that sounds horrible, but it's true. And like, it's one of those hard pills to swallow for her, because deep down, I think she knew it was her fault that no one knew her. Like in her eyes, not mine, but like the way she sees our past and moving us out here is like, I took you away from your family and now you don't care about them when they die. Right? That's her projecting that at us without being conscious of it. Because it's like, I'm sure she was hoping we cared more.
Yeah.
But how could we possibly? It would be fake.
Well, but I also think sometimes when it comes to grief situations or extreme emotions, people usually project theirs onto those around them as though they should feel that way, as a license for them to feel their feelings. As like, I don't feel right feeling this way unless I have enough people around me feeling the same way.
Well, I'm sure it
so
felt
I
alienating.
feel like I'm allowed to.
Because like she was the only one who was that upset. There was literally no one else who was that upset around. So I'm sure for her, she felt isolated within it.
Yeah. Probably felt
Like,
lonely.
I wish someone else would be heartbroken that my mom died.
But like that's also something that we need to change in our language. Like it should be okay for you to feel something different than everybody else.
Yep.
Like,
But here's
it's
me
impossible.
feeling like
any
I'm
other
in
way.
some deficit. Like, I wish I could give you what you need right now, but it would be a lie, and I'm not going to pretend I care that this woman is dead. Like, I feel for her. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, if I'm being honest, and which is what most people would never admit. Like, you're like, oh, it's my grandmother. Of course I care. It's like, yeah, is it your grandmother, though, or is it just your mom's mother? There is a difference. I believe there is a grandmother, like that role. I love the role of grandma. I've seen grandmas in action. I've been with women, lots of different women with their grandma was very involved in their life or whatever, and they had Sunday dinners and the whole thing, right? The big, like, almost like the matriarch of the family kind of thing. That's
I grew up
a
with all
total
that.
thing, right? I would never knock that, but I didn't have anything like that. So it's hard for me to pretend that I did.
Yeah.
Right? But I feel indebted to her to pretend for her, right? It's tough because you don't want to come across like a fucking monster, but like people are pretty monstrously indifferent to things that don't actually affect them.
Of course. That's the weird thing about what is that thing when it comes to events that affect people? It's like they have to, the smaller the number is, the more they can relate it to themselves.
Sam Harris talks about this all the time. If you could give $100 to one girl, or $100 to 100 people, and it would cost you the same amount of money, you'd be more likely to give it to the one girl.
Yeah.
Because she has a face, right? Mm-hmm. You can give her a name, right? Yeah. She's closer to you for some reason. Yeah. 100 anonymous people don't mean as much as one named person, and that's just a basic human thing. I don't really understand why necessarily, but
it's survival.
Yeah,
because if you're just thinking in terms of resource, when we were in small clusters of people, why would you give resource to those that aren't around you that don't contribute to your own survival?
That's the one.
Yeah, because it doesn't affect you.
You take care of
yours. It's so far away from you, right?
These anonymous people will never return anything to you. This one person may show you gratitude.
Yeah, this odds of survival thing, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
When we live in the way that we live now, and we got food all around us, it becomes a little bit. A
little more arbitrary.
Well, it just seems less necessary. But if you take all of those luxuries away and you put us in, harsh survival situations, all of a sudden that system that's built into our brain is really important.
So I downloaded that Amishi Ja book. As you're listening to it.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, that was
the chick
who's all focused on attention.
That's my next one.
And I've just started it, but it's really about breaking down why our attention is doing certain things and when that's useful and when it doesn't apply to our modern lifestyle and how we can mold those biological skills, those biological defaults and adapt them for today.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I'm super into it. I love
that's
that
so
shit.
dope.
Yeah.
It's so practical.
Yeah.
So give me an example of what this would cover. So you're sitting on the couch with your partner and you're thinking about work.
Let's go way back a little first.
Sure.
So first, let's start about how our attention works, and our attention being what we're focused on right now. Right now, my attention is right here. I'm focused on the words coming out of my mouth. I'm focused on looking at you guys, communicating to you. But I can pop in the back of my mind right now. Did I lock the door? Did I turn the stove off? Did I feed the cat? Did I forget to kiss Ronan on the lips before I left the house? What things could pop into my mind? Now, those things could be distraction. Those could be distracting me from being in this moment and speaking to you clearly and connecting the two of you very clearly and speaking slowly. But the reason those exist is because for many years we'd be sitting around a campfire and we're focused on the conversation, we're focused on this, but if we hear a noise in the bushes, we need to get up and deal with that. If I don't know, it's hard to think of hypotheticals on the fly, but that ability to rapidly change focus is super important to our survival for many years.
Totally.
But here we are way in the future, and everything is calling for our attention.
Yeah.
There's a million things that we could have forgotten about and fucked up that would be super destructive to our day. Did I pay that ticket? Did that ticket just get twice as expensive today? Did I remember to put food in the fridge? Whatever. And it's a matter of simplifying that attention now so that we can use it effectively, not just letting it pop around and be scattered everywhere.
I have so many goddamn distractions.
Exactly. And eventually
I don't like almost any of them. I hate almost all of them.
Yep.
It just feels like I have all of these boxes I have to check every day, and if I don't, I pay a price. It's an arbitrary price, though, right? It's not like there's a guy who's going to take money out of my wallet. It's just like, if I don't do this story here, if I don't do this thing on TikTok, if I don't do this thing on YouTube, it's just those things are constantly lurking somewhere in my brain, and I'd love to be able to not have that.
Well, but the cost is the same no matter what. That's one of the reasons that you have those things, because the cost is whatever emotional and or chemical reaction is going to happen from them. So you may not think of them as real, but they're affecting you biologically,
sure.
Very real, right? We give weight to things. It's just like that. Your body has a physical response to, aggressive, words getting hurled at you, as if you've been in a fight. You have the same response, and so although it may seem arbitrary, your body doesn't think that. Your body thinks that every single one of those things is a noise in the bushes.
So how do you get your body not to care that much?
You give it things to care about.
Amishi Ja's proposal is getting stronger.
Yeah, that's what I
By
would do.
practicing mindfulness so that you can still do all of those same tasks, but when you engage with that task, you're able to focus completely, execute it, and move
then
on.
move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a matter of prioritizing and putting things in its place so you're able to effectively walk throughout your day and give things the attention they need instead of letting those memories from the past sneak into your mind and distract you. Instead of letting those random things around you distract you before their given time.
Yeah, see, I'm good at like mission, like seek and destroy type tactics with social media. Where when I go on my phone, it's for a purpose. I'm
Yeah.
doing this thing, but it's getting harder and harder. Like
Yeah.
that is getting harder and harder, and that's because they're figuring people out better and better. Right? They're making the pop-ups and things that show up on your screen better and better to get you to spend more time.
That's why I need a back button on the iPhone. I get trapped in Instagram. I go in there to make one stupid post, but since you got to go back to this
Yeah.
page to get to messages, and then back to here to get to make a post, and back to here to
Yeah.
see this to tag that.
The
But by
explore
the time you
page,
get to doing what you're doing, you've accidentally scrolled for 5 minutes.
the explore page, I've watched it grow and change over the years. I've been on Instagram.
So I never see the explore page.
Well,
not a button I
if
have to
I go
press
in
ever.
there to search for something,
Oh, yeah.
like search
Fair.
someone, I just see the explore page, right? And I'm like watching as how it's changed. It's not just changed in its layout or what's on there, but like how it's identifying what I like is getting better and better. And I'm not asking it to, right? It's just learning me. And anything that's learning you is you've got to be almost aware all the time this thing is trying hard to get you.
Yep.
Right? It's almost like you're playing against it. Because you could easily go on Instagram with one task in mind and get stuck on there for an hour. Like,
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, when you're describing that, it's like, I need a back button. It's like, well, no, they're not going to give you that because
Nope.
they just won.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
They won
Yeah.
for your attention. So it's like, why would they give you something to help fight against
Well,
them?
See,
well,
during
no,
the-
I need the hardware to give me a back button, so that
You
I
have one.
What's that?
you got the thing at the bottom, don't you?
Yeah.
A back button?
Everything's a back button.
No.
You just swipe up. That's how you.
Well,
maneuver.
that's exit, isn't it?
No,
That's why I close apps. On
So-
mine, if I swipe up, it
Should
just
have one
closes
like
the app.
right, but
So if you just like, so say you're in this, you just go
yeah. And
Well,
it's
that's
different for
apps. No, I'm
Android
talking
or
about like all in
within
messages.
pages.
Yeah.
Oh
within
yeah,
apps.
no. I mean, it's usually at the top left corner.
so during the
Yeah, but that's the problem. Is Instagram is all.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
all
and then
four
they're making
corners.
it. They're making it
That's
hard
what
for
I'm
you.
saying.
And that's their hope.
But Android's got the solution.
Sorta.
Android's
I've had one for years.
Android's got
Yeah.
a better
I was an Android guy for a decade.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I know.
my
I'm just
Android
saying
phone
that you're
was better, too,
describing.
for that.
You're describing it's better for you.
Yeah,
And
of
I'm
course.
saying that they're going to keep moving towards things that are better for them.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Where we are now isn't the mecca.
Yeah.
Like when I was saying, I've watched the explore page and how it's getting, like it's changing and growing and all of that stuff is, we're not even, who knows where that ends.
Yeah.
Like we can't even speculate. It's only going to get more addictive and more grabby as time goes on.
Yeah.
But like I will say, my uptime on my phone during the first lockdown was like at like 4.5 to 6 hours sometimes.
Wow.
Because I was just sitting around.
Yeah.
Or I'm even on the treadmill
Yeah.
and I'm just on my phone. Now I've got it down to about an hour a day.
Nice.
And that's not me actively like using it. That's just active times because your phone has like where you've touched it within 5 minutes or whatever, right? Obviously, some days I have more time on there than others, but it's way down from what it was, and I'm not looking to get that high again ever.
Yeah.
Like that was gross for me.
The weirdest thing is they are looking for you.
Oh,
too.
I know they are.
59 minutes. Look at that. Nice.
Sub hour. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
We talked about this quite a while ago, but where it's like, I don't want people scrolling 6 hours to find me. I want
That's
to be
the
within
trick.
their first 5
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Like I don't want people to be on there longer. I just want to be one of the ranked faces and hope to stay there. Because if you lose that, then the only way you are seen is if someone's scrolling for 6 hours, right? That's the position a lot of people end up in. So, but it's hard to care when I don't actually like it.
Yeah.
Like when I don't actually like the platform, but
You're telling me, man. You're telling me.
yeah.
That's one of the reasons that I look at that meta thing and I'm just like, this appeals to me in absolutely no way.
0 ways.
Like, not a single way. Like,
See, but this appeals to me. Doing this podcast,
Oh, yeah.
all
of
of the
course.
YouTube stuff I like.
Yeah.
I like doing my vlog update, even though I would never watch it myself. I feel like that's valuable for reasons like you were saying last week. The information that I give, or not
Yeah.
last week, was one of the Jesse podcasts.
Yeah.
The information that you can give to people, and it can be valuable, right?
for free.
For free.
Yeah.
And I enjoy doing it. This is fun.
Yeah.
So my Instagram, without my Instagram, my TikTok, this is a lot smaller. So I have to do those things so that the YouTube has a chance to grow, right?
Yeah.
So I know why I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it because I like Instagram.
Yeah, I know.
Instagram was always just a launching pad. Post pictures, hope to grow an audience, and then get them to a YouTube channel.
You know, the only thing that I find interesting about that though is like the users are so different. Like the people that like Instagram are very different than the people that like YouTube.
Oh, for sure.
Like the people that hang
That's why
out there.
the crossover isn't great.
Yeah, it's and you see it in the comments, you see it in the interactions, you see it in like the, I don't know, like YouTube has this like community vibe to it.
It does, but it doesn't have a great interface for finding new stuff.
No.
So, like, if you're just doing this podcast from scratch, say you've got 5 followers, you're going to have 10 followers in a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have much of a magnetic pull to it.
No.
You almost have to. You have to get a lucky break with a really viral video or something. I've got a few that are doing sort of like that, but YouTube is really hard to navigate. Like, it's super hard to break through. I was kind of hoping maybe shorts will help with that, but
I mean, but like the thing is with the shorts content, the people that seem to be putting a lot of energy into those shorts, that's the thing that you go to for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than going to their other stuff.
that's exactly what the TikTok transfer to my YouTube is, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm doing TikTok and I drop a line, check out my YouTube, I'll always get a few people on YouTube right away. But who knows if that's going to be good viewer,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not the same content.
No.
So getting big on YouTube on its own is tough.
It's just different. You know?
Well, because it can make you millions. So everyone is trying it now.
I've already
Yeah, I
made
guess
more
that's
money
fair.
from
right? Saturation is the key.
this
Yeah.
year. I've made more money from YouTube than I've made on Instagram.
Makes sense.
Like just because I've been paid cash on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll be, I think, getting my 4th YouTube check right away here, and it'll be something like $650.
There you go.
And I've made maybe $400 on Instagram from like promoting stuff and
Nice.
junk like that. It's
Yeah,
not great.
No.
It's not good at all.
Well, that's what I always thought. Like, I mean, I don't
trying.
want to
though.
harp
I'm not
on these types
hustling.
of platforms
Yeah.
too much, but it's just like the people that have that like socialite Instagram-y thing. I always just think like you're not making money from this in
No,
the
not
capacity
much.
that you would have a career. Like you're making some, but you're usually some sort of well-to-do person.
Yeah.
Like, you're already in a place of affluence, and you're just able to capitalize on the fact that you already are in those situations.
I'm definitely not the best example because I've turned away a lot of products.
Yeah.
Like I've told a million
But like, okay, so
people, no, I don't want to model this shit.
more what I mean, like, you know, they don't have the same mechanism of like, to see our stuff, you have to sit through this ad.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so there's no direct payment that's happening, even though
Exactly.
there is sponsored content. I love that they got free of that, where it's just like, oh no, we'll just put in our own, and then it doesn't actually have to happen through the person.
They're
So
not
it's like
paying
that
you
we don't
per
want
click.
people to be making money. We just want to make the money.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so like that's the real barrier to entry that they just haven't made being a creator within those platforms profitable. Other than you have to be advertising something else. You know what I mean? Like if you're a tattooer, you can get huge on Instagram and that'll be great for your books.
Mm-hmm.
But or it won't. You know what I mean? Like if you get to one of those places where
Well, it
you're
makes it
just
a marketing tool.
yeah, and
The
if
billboard's
people
gonna
come
work
to
or
you
it's
for
not.
your thing, but they might, if you get too good at the Instagram thing, they might just like the Instagram thing. It might not translate to your actual tattoo portfolio.
I think the best it
as
does
much as what you think.
for a tattooer is that all of a sudden Scott's not getting, well, Scott's still maybe getting crappy requests, but he's getting a lot more of what he wants on
That's
his plate.
right.
Yeah.
Right. He could fill his book for 2-3 months with all stuff he wants to do.
That's a big
Versus
one.
no more eating out of the trash bin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Like no more
precisely.
garbage requests because it's like.
Well, there's still garbage requests.
Well,
we just
so
can say
then
no.
you go, oh, well, Scott.
There's a shitload of those.
Scott's
It's like, I
only
love
doing
that
this.
sleeve. Can I have my son's name on my wrist?
Right. And then
Okay.
it's well, Scott would recommend someone else this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And Scott gets the project he wants.
That's where our cordial swiping you to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Terry has spots to write Terry on your wrist.
Yeah, there you go.
Terry will draw a small version of his face on every client.
That's right.
So yeah, I think that's the best application for being famous as a tattooer.
Yeah.
Is just this is what I want to do. This is all I want to do.
Yeah.
It's very clear that this is what I want.
Yeah.
Right. Every
that's-
tattoo is this.
yeah, this is what I'm doing over and over again.
I've
Yeah.
tattooed the same eagle
Yeah.
47
Bring
times
me your black
in
and
the
gray
last
eagle
47
requests.
days.
I will knock
Yep.
them out of the park.
Yeah. That's all I'll do.
Yep.
just Scotty Eagle tattooer. Put it in the name.
And then I'll get more specific. I only tattoo this picture of this
This
eagle
eagle on this spot.
faces. Yeah, exactly.
On faces,
On
yeah.
faces.
How big a city do you need to be able to get away with something like that?
You got to have people that are flying to you.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a big enough city. I don't think you land in Tokyo and specify any eagle face tattoos. I don't think you're going to get it.
I have a 747 that has a big eagle on it, so it looks like a big eagle while it flies through the air, and that
Yeah.
picks people up around the globe and
Yeah,
brings them back
exactly.
here for their tattoo.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
But I mean, like, hey, if it pays the bills, it pays the bills.
Eagle face tattoos.